Grandma's heartbreaking journey through suffering and triumph. You won't believe the end. Evelyn sat on her porch, the crisp autumn air swirling around her like whispers of past memories. The leaves crunched underfoot, a symphony of decay, yet bursting with colors that reminded her of the love she once shared. Each day felt heavier since Harold's passing, a weight anchoring her to a fog of grief. She had loved him fiercely, and now the echoes of laughter felt ominous, reverberating through the silence of her quaint little town. A chill ran through her as she held the delicate, yellowed letter she found tucked in Harold's old cufflink box. It was like finding a hidden treasure buried in the sand. Except this treasure housed secrets that could rot. Her world. The faded ink spoke of a love affair, a betrayal she never saw coming. Panic surged in her chest. How could he? How could he hold such a truth from her? And why now? Evelyn's heart raced as confusion braided into her sorrow. It was more than just losing her partner. It was losing the man she thought she knew. Her mind flooded with memories. The warmth of his embrace, the twinkle in his eye when he spoke of their future. Was it all a lie? The cool autumn breeze felt like frost against her skin, a stark contrast to the warmth of her heart's memories. She took a deep breath, but the lump in her throat tightened. As weeks passed, the indifference from her family became suffocating. Once lively faces had dulled into shadows. Phone calls went unanswered. Visits became rare. They were preoccupied, caught up in their lives while she stumbled through hers, lost. The thought clawed at her, clinging to this pain, this betrayal, this loneliness. Could she confront it? The letter felt like fire, emboldening and terrifying. It fanned the flames of her sadness and frustration. What did she truly want? To confront the past and shatter the image of their perfect life? Or to forgive and reclaim what was left? One cloudy afternoon, as she sifted through more of Harold's belongings, she stumbled upon an old photograph, a faded image of a woman she didn't recognize, holding a bouquet of sunflowers, standing beside Harold. "Who are you?" she whispered, trembling fingers brushing the glass. The scent of fresh blooms filled her mind, dragging her deeper into a whirlpool of questions and anguish. Suddenly, she felt a presence, an almost unexplainable warmth, as if someone was watching her, nudging her, pushing her towards the truth. The shadows in her heart shifted. Could it be? Had she misjudged the intentions of those hovering at the edges of her grief? The very people she blamed could be her lifeline. Evelyn stood at life's crossroads. The weight of the revelations pressed hard against her chest. Could she forgive? Was there strength within her to trust again? With every heartbeat echoing with uncertainty, she felt like a ship tossed on turbulent seas, unsure of where the waves would take her. What other secrets remained buried under layers of grief and unspoken love? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Evelyn stood at life's crossroads, the echoes of a past life swirling like the leaves at her feet. The weight of Harold's secrets pressed hard against her chest. A relentless push, each heartbeat a reminder of her confusion. Just then, a sudden gust of wind rattled the empty porch, sending shivers down her spine. It felt like a warning. The photograph of the woman lingered in her mind, the sunlight catching twinkles in her eyes. She struggled to shake the thought. Who was she? Why had Harold hidden this from her? Panic surged, a tide of betrayal threatening to drown her certainty. Just then, the doorbell chimed, a sharp noise cutting through her thoughts. Evelyn's heart raced. Who could be visiting? She looked through the window and saw Clara, her neighbor, standing at the gate with a worried expression. Evelyn opened the door, a sliver of hope dancing in her chest. Maybe Clara could help file away the chaos. Evelyn, we need to talk, Clara said, her voice shaky. The unease written across her face pulled Evelyn in as she stepped aside. They settled into the living room, the familiar warmth of the space now feeling foreign. Is everything okay? Evelyn managed to ask. Clara's frail fingers fidgeted with her scarf. She took a deep breath, like she was gearing up for a plunge into cold water. It's about Harold. Clara looked straight into Evelyn's eyes, regret weighing heavy in her gaze. I've been meaning to tell you something. Something important. Evelyn's heart thudded in her chest. Anticipation twisting into anxiety. What is it? She pressed, her voice a whisper. Clara hesitated before continuing. The woman in that picture, her name is Mary. She was my sister. Evelyn's mind whirled. A sister? She had never heard of her before. The revelation sank in like a stone in a pond, each ripple of disbelief spreading farther. Sister? Why didn't you tell me? She felt a wave of betrayal wash over her, the foundation of her careful world cracking. We lost touch years ago, Clara said, her eyes pooling with tears. I didn't know until after Harold. He told me you didn't need to know. He loved you too much, said the past would only hurt you. Only hurt me? Evelyn echoed, anger and sadness spilling over. He lied to me all those years. Was it all a disguise? Was he even the man I thought he was? I didn't know he'd kept secrets about Mary from you, Clara replied, her voice quaking. We thought she was gone for good. But just then a loud crash shattered the tension. They both jumped, eyes darting toward the kitchen. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the air like a thunderclap. Clara turned pale, her heart visibly racing as shadows loomed at the door. What was that? Clara gasped. Suddenly the door swung open, revealing a figure cloaked in confusion and determination. It was James, her youngest grandson, panting and wide-eyed. Grandma, you need to come quick. It's Mom. She's in trouble, he shouted, breathless and panicked. Evelyn's chest tightened, fear igniting within her. Trouble? What do you mean? Before he could answer, the lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the room, making everything feel unreal. Suddenly, the weight of grief, betrayal, and now fear danced in a whirlwind around her. She felt the ground shift beneath her feet. What was happening? Was this all connected? She looked at Clara, then back at James, heart racing. We have to go, she urged, urgency propelling her forward. But just as they reached the door, James hesitated. There's something else, something I heard about the day Harold died, he said, awe and dread intertwining in his tone. Evelyn's stomach knotted. What else could there be? What had been left? Unsaid. As they rushed out into the chaos, her mind spun wildly. Could more secrets unravel her world? What would they uncover when they followed the trail? And most importantly, could she bear to face whatever lay ahead? Evelyn's heart raced as they stepped into the chaos of the world outside. The oversized oak tree in their yard swayed violently, its leaves shuddering under the weight of an impending storm. She felt the sharp air bite against her skin, sending a chill through her bones. James's frantic expression was like a beacon cutting through the fog. Where is she? What happened? Her voice trembled, the urgency rising like bile in her throat. I don't know. She's at the park. A woman is there, and she's hurt. James shouted, panic lining his features. Evelyn squeezed his shoulder, a grip tight enough to break the tension, but gentle enough to offer calm. We need to go now. She turned to Clara, who stood frozen by the door, eyes wide like saucers. Clara, come on! With hurried steps, they bolted down the street, wind howling around them. The sun dipped lower, casting an eerie glow that mixed with shadows. As they neared the park, the distant yells and the sound of sirens filled the air. When they arrived, the scene unfolded before them like a nightmare. A crowd had formed, people milling around, some crying, others shouting. Evelyn pushed through, heart pounding in her ears. Where is she? Then she spotted her. Lucy, her estranged daughter, collapsed. On the grass, face distorted in pain, a figure loomed over her. A man with wild hair and frantic eyes. Mom, help me! Lucy's voice cut through the chaos, raw and desperate. What happened? Evelyn shouted, rushing forward, but her feet felt like lead. Everything turned hazy. We need a medic, the man yelled, panic flooding his voice. Evelyn's stomach twisted painfully. The last time she spoke to Lucy, they had fought, harsh words laced with anger and hurt. Now, all that mattered was getting to her. She fought through the gathering crowd, faces shifting like shadows, gasps echoing against the fading light. Lucy groaned, clutching her side. It hurts. I didn't mean to fall. As Evelyn knelt beside her, tears blurred her vision. What happened? Are you hurt? Who is this? She pointed to the man, her heart racing with dread. Before he could respond, a woman from the crowd stepped closer, eyes locked on Evelyn. You need to know the truth, she shouted, forceful enough to slice through the noise. What truth? Evelyn's voice was a whisper, dread coiling in her chest. This is bigger than you think. The woman's gaze flared with some hidden intensity. You don't understand what Harold was involved in. Everything. It's connected. A silence wrapped around them, thick and suffocating. Clara's hand clutched Evelyn's arm, eyes wide with confusion. What are you talking about? Harold didn't just die. He was murdered. Those words hit harder than any blow. Evelyn's breath caught, and the world around, her spine. Lucy's pained expression faded into the background. Murdered? She echoed, feeling bile rise. Who would do that? The woman stepped forward, the tension crackling around her. He was involved with bad people. It was about Mary, and something much bigger. Evelyn felt the ground shift beneath her. That photograph, Harold's secrets, Lucy's pain, they all connected in a web, far more twisted than she ever imagined. Suddenly, James shouted, pointing to the trees lining the park. Someone's watching us. Evelyn turned, heart pounding, but before she could see, the man beside Lucy stepped back. He grabbed a bag from the ground, tossing it aside as he exclaimed, I can't let this happen. The crowd gasped, and a scuffle erupted around Lucy. Confused faces morphed into chaos, shouting, pushing, a sudden movement toward the trees. Evelyn's world teetered on the brink, and she felt a scream rise in her throat. What was coming? Secrets were bubbling to the surface, dragging her back to the depths of anguish. The ground beneath her shifted, her mind racing with all the implications. What did Harold do? Who was after them? And more importantly, would she be strong enough to face this storm? Evelyn's breath hitched as chaos unfolded. She could barely comprehend what was happening. Lucy lay there, clearly in pain, but everything else faded into a blur. The loud voices, the frantic cries, it all felt so distant, like she was submerged underwater. "I'm not leaving her!" she yelled, fear coursing through her veins like fire. She clutched Lucy's hand, trying to squeeze out some strength. "Help is on the way! Just hang in there!" Suddenly, someone grabbed her arm, and Evelyn jumped. It was the woman from the crowd, her eyes wide, as if she was trying to warn her. "You have to listen to me." "What is it?" Evelyn snapped, frustration overriding her fear. "Harold! He wasn't just involved. He was the target." The woman's voice trembled with urgency. "Mary, she knew something." Something that put Harold in danger. Evelyn felt the world tilt, as if someone had yanked the ground out from under her. Danger? What kind of danger? What are you talking about? But the woman was cut off as a loud roar echoed through the park. A motorcycle sped by, its engine growling like a predator, shattering the moment. Everyone turned their heads, eyes wide with fear. Was it too late? Had whatever haunted Harold come back to haunt them? Then, just like that, a figure emerged from the trees, tall and imposing, a shadow streaming behind him. The crowd parted like water, people gasping, whispering. Evelyn felt her heart race, blood rushing to her ears. "Who the hell is that?" Clara whispered, clutching Evelyn's arm. Evelyn squinted, trying to make sense of the shape. Her stomach dropped as recognition hit. It was a man she had seen in one of Harold's old photographs. The same dark hair, the same hard jawline. He looked just like the younger version of a man who had stood beside Mary, the mysterious woman from the faded picture. "Harold didn't finish the job," he shouted, voice like gravel, eyes locked onto Evelyn's. "He thought he could protect you by lying, by keeping you in the dark." Evelyn stumbled back, shock coursing through her. "Protect me from what? Who are you?" The moment dragged, the air thick with tension. The man flared his arms out, as if inviting the truth to expose itself. "I'm Daniel. I worked with Harold. And now we're all in danger because of a choice he made." "Danger?" she echoed, heart racing with dread. "Because of Mary? What did you all get into?" Before he could respond, a piercing scream cut through the noise. It was Lucy, writhing in pain. Her face twisted in terror. "Mom, I can't! Help me!" The panic surged again. Evelyn felt the weight of Lucy's gaze, the desperation bleeding through her daughter's voice. "She needs a medic!" Clara shouted. But Evelyn was frozen, caught between two unfolding disasters. "Everyone move back!" a voice called from the edge of the crowd. A paramedic had finally arrived, but the tension wasn't easing, and the ground felt unstable beneath her. Daniel stepped closer, urgency etched in his features. "Evelyn, listen. Mary was involved in something deadly. Harold didn't just die, he was killed to protect you from the truth." That word, killed, clashed with the weight of everything she thought she knew. The heartbreak twisted in her stomach. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, to run away from it all. Kill? Who? Who's after us? Before he could answer, lights flashed in the distance, sirens wailing, but they didn't feel like a promise of help. They felt like a warning. Her breathing quickened. "Lucy, we have to get her out of here!" Evelyn cried, panic piercing through her heart. "What do we do?" Daniel locked eyes with her, a storm of emotion swirling within. "We need to leave. Now. They'll come for you next." "Who will?" Evelyn pressed, her voice cracking. Just then, another roar shattered the air. A black SUV skidded to a halt at the park's edge, engines revving, windows tinted beyond anyone's vision. Shadows moved inside, lurking like predators about to pounce. Evelyn's blood ran cold. This was it. The secrets, they weren't just whispers anymore. They were coming for her. "Run!" Jane shouted, grabbing her hand. But as they turned to escape, the figure from the car emerged, stepping into view, and all breath fled from Evelyn's lungs. It was a face she had longed to forget, a face that was etched into every memory she had tried to bury. "Mom, I missed you!" Lucy's voice fell into silence as the realization crashed over them. Evelyn's heart dropped. "What? No! It can't be!" As the figure moved closer, a shudder coursed through the crowd. The echoes of her past were back, threatening to unravel everything she thought she knew. "Everything revolves around you, Evelyn. Don't pretend you don't see it," the familiar voice whispered, sending icy fingers down. Her spine. What had she done to deserve this? All those secrets? All those lies? Could she ever run from her past? Or was it too late to protect her family now? Questions swirled as uncertainty swallowed her whole. Would she find the strength to confront the truth? Or would the weight of betrayal drag her down into darkness? Evelyn's heart dropped as the figure stepped forward, eyes locked onto hers. She felt the world closing in, every noise fading to a dull roar. "Mom, I missed you," Lucy's voice echoed, trembling with uncertainty. The pain in her daughter's face sent a wave of fear flowing through Evelyn. But the man, Daniel, didn't flinch. His expression hardened, voice low and dangerous. "Evelyn, that's not the person you think." "She is!" "What?" Panic clawed at her throat, squeezing her words. "What do you mean?" "Listen to me. The woman standing there, she's not just your daughter. She's a pawn in this toxic game." Daniel pointed, his voice urgent and intense, as if each word carried the weight of a boulder. "Harold wanted to protect you, but he created a monster instead." Everything around her warped as confusion crashed against her mind. "A monster?" She looked at Lucy, searching for the daughter she knew, searched for proof of the girl she held in her arms just moments ago. "What are you saying?" But before Daniel could reply, a scream sliced through the air. It was sharp and piercing, sending shivers down every spine in the park. Eyes turned toward the sound. Gasps spiraled around them. Evelyn's heart raced as she pulled away from Lucy. "What's happening?" Then she saw it. A ripple in the crowd, a figure collapsing, a child, a little boy, suddenly falling to the ground, arms flailing in confusion. "Get away from him!" a voice roared. Time froze as the world warped. She blinked, confusion thick as fog, and in that moment, everything changed. Daniel turned sharply, eyes wide with terror. "No, they're here!" Evelyn backed away, breath hitching in her throat. "What do you mean by they? Who?" Suddenly, the ground shook. Not in the way of an earthquake, but in the way of a chaotic force coming down on them. A black SUV roared to life again. Doors swung open, and more figures spilled out. Dark men, their faces masked, weapons in hand. Everyone screamed. Panic surged like a tidal wave. Evelyn's feet turned to lead, heart hammering. She felt her grip on Lucy tighten as chaos swirled around them. "Get back!" she shouted, pushing Lucy behind her. Daniel was yelling now, voice lost amidst the madness. "We need to split up. They're coming for you!" But before she could comprehend, the little boy was crying. His mother rushed to him, yelling. And there was Lucy, her face pale and stricken. The air thickened with fear. The sunlight seemed to dim. Then the unexpected happened. Daniel, the man who claimed to know everything, suddenly lunged forward, knocking down one of the armed men. A scuffle ensued, fists flying, as more shouts erupted around them. "Evelyn, run!" he cried out, his voice fierce and raw. As he fought, she caught a glimpse of a flash of silver in his pocket, a glimmer of something familiar. A silver cufflink? Harold's cufflink! Her breath hitched. "Daniel, you... Go, now!" And just like that, in the chaos, reality twisted again. She didn't understand. He wasn't the man she trusted. She wanted to scream as their connection blurred. Somewhere in the throng, she spotted the masked faces closing in, her heart pounding in panic. "Lucy, we need to go!" But the look on Lucy's face stopped her cold. It wasn't just fear. It was something deeper, something haunting and dark. "Mom, I'm not who you think I am." "What?" Evelyn whispered, trembling. "I am part of this too," Lucy exclaimed, eyes wide with a mix of desperation and truth. "Just like you." The world tilted on its axis. Everything she thought she knew fractured and splintered like glass, leaving only shards of confusion. The boy on the ground scrambled, the chaos raged, and blood rushed to her ears. The crowd was scattering, but Evelyn didn't move. Instead, she turned to Lucy, searching for answers. "What does that mean?" But as Lucy opened her mouth to reply, a blinding flash erupted, bright as the sun, and Evelyn felt her heart stop. In an instant, everything darkened. What happened next felt unreal, dreamlike. She couldn't see, couldn't move. The sound vanished as a thick blanket of silence enveloped her. And just as suddenly, she was falling into blackness, questions swirling, chaos echoing, and one thought blared in her mind. What was the truth? Evelyn blinked as darkness enveloped her, her heart racing. Silence pounded in her ears, drowning out the chaos behind her. She gasped, gasping, feeling as if she were tumbling through an endless void. Then a blinding light broke through. She was back in the park, but everything felt different. People were screaming. The sky darkening above them. It was as if someone had flipped a switch, turning day into night. Shadows loomed, diving closer, and her pulse thundered. "Lucy! James!" she shouted, panic consuming her. Where were they? She staggered, searching frantically, but the crowd had morphed into a whirlpool of terror. "Get back!" a voice shouted, but not from Daniel. It was a man she didn't recognize, a large figure at the edge of the chaos, waving people away, eyes wide with fear. Evelyn turned just in time to see someone else sprinting into the fray. A woman, disguised in a dark coat, her face hidden by a hood. She moved with purpose, weaving through the sea of panic. "You need to leave now," she yelled, pushing people aside. That voice! Evelyn's heart lurched. Was it someone she knew? Suddenly, the woman glanced her way, and their eyes locked. The woman's gaze pierced through Evelyn, igniting something deep within her. Then the world shifted again. The sound of glass shattering echoed from the direction of the SUV. A deafening blast followed. People screamed, scattering like leaves in a storm. The force sent Evelyn tumbling back, her heart racing with a terror she'd never known. "Mom!" Lucy screamed, but Evelyn couldn't move. Chaos erupted. Smoke billowed from the SUV, choking the sky. The dark figure was gone, engulfed by the blast. Panic gripped her chest. What was happening? Suddenly, Daniel shoved his way to her. "We have to go, now!" His face was pale, eyes frantic. The woman in the hood was still there, her presence strong and commanding. "Follow me," she shouted, gesturing for them to come closer. But Evelyn hesitated. "Who are you?" "Time for questions later. Trust me." The urgency in her tone rang a familiar bell. It was like she was in a dream where the strings of reality twisted and pulled in every direction. "Mom!" Lucy cried again, but Evelyn couldn't take her eyes off the hooded woman. Something about her felt familiar, yet unsettling. "Let's go!" Daniel yanked at Evelyn, and instinct kicked in. She followed, adrenaline pounding in her ears, heart racing. They darted down a path, Evan's thoughts spiraling. Shadows flickered behind them. Were they being followed? "Where is James?" she gasped, fear clawing at her throat. "He's safe. Just keep moving," Daniel urged, glancing over his shoulder. They stumbled into a small clearing. The smoke had thinned, but the sounds of chaos echoed behind them. It felt like they had crossed an invisible line, a threshold into something darker. Evelyn felt confusion tangle with fear. She turned to look at the hooded woman. "You have to tell me who you are." At that moment, the woman pulled back her hood, exposing a familiar face, a face Evelyn had seen in countless old photographs. "It's me, Mom." Evelyn's breath caught. "Mary?" "No," Lucy gasped, horror washing over her face. "No, it can't be." Mary stepped closer, an eerie calm enveloping her. "I'm here to explain everything. You're all caught in a web you can't see." As Evelyn's mind spun, the ground underfoot trembled. And that's when everything shifted again. The darkness closed in around them, an overwhelming force pulling at their souls. She fought to stay grounded, but the revelation hung in the air. Layers of betrayal, hidden truths, and now this twist. "Mom, don't listen to her," Lucy shouted as Mary's lips curled into a knowing smile. The winds picked up violently, screaming through the trees. "Trust me," Mary whispered, her voice laced with a power that sent shivers down Evelyn's spine. But just as clarity began to emerge, another figure burst into the clearing. This time a cop, dressed in uniform. "Stop! Everyone, get down!" he bellowed, raising his weapon. In the blink of an eye, Evelyn's world shattered again. Was it too late to escape this web of secrets? Would the truth drown them all? Evelyn felt the world shift under her feet, the sudden blast echoing like thunder. Mary's face loomed before her, an image from the past, wrapped in unsettling familiarity. "This isn't over," she insisted, but her words were drowned in chaos. The cops shouted, the SUV's wail filled the air, and panic flooded through the park like a storm. But then, as if time froze, Evelyn's eyes flicked to Lucy. Her daughter's face twisted in horror, not just from the explosions or the violence, but something deeper, something cold that froze the air around them. "Mom, don't trust her!" Lucy cried, her voice raw, desperation spilling over. The words stunned Evelyn. "Lucy," she started. Confusion seeping in. "What are you saying?" Mary stepped closer, her eyes narrowing, something dark flickering behind them. "You need to understand, Evelyn. The truth is more complicated than you think." But before Evelyn could respond, the ground beneath them groaned, and an ominous crack echoed through the air, the sound of a tremor that felt terrible, portending more than chaos. The trees, once towering and steady, shook violently. Everyone turned. The crowd gasped, a wave of panic spreading like fire. "Get down!" the cop shouted again, scrambling to find cover. And suddenly, the shadows reshaped, twisting like smoke, revealing hidden figures. More men appeared from the edges of the trees, their faces etched in shadows, eyes hungry. But what struck Evelyn the most was the realization. They weren't mere thugs or enforcers. They were uniformed officers, guys who had patrolled her neighborhood, people she'd trusted. "No!" Evelyn stumbled back, heart racing. "What does this mean?" Lucy's face drained of color. "They're not here to help, Mom." Mary's eyes suddenly lit. With a wild vibrancy that felt alien, almost terrifying. "It was never about Harold's secrets. It's about you," she said, voice dropping to a whisper, yet somehow ringing clear over the chaos. "They're after you. They know. They know about the key." "Key?" Evelyn's heart raced, confusion boiling over. "What key?" The tension thickened, and in that moment, everything crashed together. A storm of betrayal and fear. The world spun, disorienting and confounding. The officers moved closer, tension pulsing in the air like a live wire. But then, amidst the fear, a figure broke through the circle of chaos. James, her youngest grandson. He burst forward, eyes fierce, determination written across his small frame. "Grandma, they can't take you. We have to go." Evelyn felt a flash of warmth. Her sweet boy, still safe amidst the storm. "James, what do you mean?" "Don't you see? The key has to be buried somewhere safe. They can't get it." He gestured wildly, and panic surged in her. The layers of reality continued to unravel. Suddenly, one of the masked officers turned sharply and locked eyes with Lucy. Time slowed, and everything fell silent. "You," the officer said, voice grave and cold. "We've been looking for you." Evelyn stumbled back. Confusion morphing into horror. "Lucy, what's going on?" A flicker of recognition crossed Lucy's face, deepening the gravity of fear. "Mom, I'm not just your daughter. I'm part of this. I was supposed to protect the key." Evelyn's heart stopped. "Protect the key? What key? Why?" "Didn't you tell me?" But before Lucy could respond, a sudden crack of lightning lit up the sky, illuminating the scene for just a moment. In that split second, Evelyn caught a glimpse of Mary's smug smile, of something dark lurking behind her eyes. Suddenly, a roar filled the air, a motorcycle cutting through the chaos, a rider clad in black charging forward. The crowd gasped, and Evelyn's heart dropped as the figure raised their hand, pointed right at her. The gasp that followed was inevitable. "It's him!" someone screeched. "The man from the photographs!" Everything shattered. Revelation swirled around, a tempest of questions. Desperation clawed at her, and the thread of reality slipped once more. "Who are you?" she cried as panic surged. But the man didn't answer. Instead, he revved the engine, edging closer. "You have something that belongs to us. Return it, and we can end this." Evelyn stood frozen as questions whirled. What key? What secrets? Could everything she believed be nothing more than a facade? And just when she thought she was starting to understand, the ground shifted again. What else lurked in the shadows, waiting to tear apart the fragile thread of her life? Would she ever uncover the truth buried deeper than she could imagine? Evelyn's mind raced as the figure on the motorcycle revved the engine, cutting through the chaos like a knife. She stood frozen, the air thick with tension. "Who are you?" she shouted, but the noise drowned her words. Daniel's eyes zeroed in on the motorcycle rider, a fierce determination etched on his face. "Get ready!" he yelled. But before anyone could move, the rider shot forward, speeding toward them like a bullet. "No!" Lucy screamed, a raw note of fear lacing her voice, echoing through the park. Evelyn's heart raced. She felt lost in a whirlwind of confusion, panic racking her body. The motorcycle screeched to a halt inches from them. The rider, shifting his helmet, revealed a familiar face that sent chills down her spine. It was Kevin, her son, the one she thought had disappeared years ago. "Mom!" he shouted, urgency lacing every syllable. "You have to come with me, now!" Evelyn felt the ground shift beneath her. Confusion twisted her gut. "Kevin? Oh, I thought you were gone!" The question burned on her tongue, but Daniel interrupted. "We don't have time! They are coming!" He pointed at the gathering shadows, the men inching closer with purpose. "Why are you here?" she pressed, disbelief rippling through her. Before anyone could answer, the scene erupted into chaos again. The masked officers advanced, and the air crackled with tension, crackling like electricity. "Mom, I'll explain later. Just trust me," Kevin shouted, voice cutting through the fear. In a heartbeat, the choice was clear. The truth, her family, safety, it all hung by a thread. And that thread was Kevin's outstretched hand. She took it, heart pounding, and turned to the others. "We have to go, now." Daniel grabbed Lucy's arm, urgency painting his features. "Stick close. We can't be separated." Evelyn felt the world shift again, the weight of everything pressing down. So many secrets unraveling in a moment. As they moved towards the motorcycle, the sound of fighting erupted behind them. A violent clash of chaos and pain. "Get away! Get back!" The words tumbled into the night. The air thickened with despair. Suddenly, a blinding flash erupted from the direction of the SUV. Evelyn felt the heat ripple over her skin, and instinct kicked in. She pushed Lucy and James to the ground, the world spiraling. She tasted fear, metallic and sharp, as she turned her head just in time to witness the explosion. Flames shot into the sky, illuminating startled faces around her. Screams filled the air. Confusion colliding with chaos. Evelyn stood, heart racing. "We have to move!" she yelled, adrenaline pumping through her veins. They scrambled onto the motorcycle, Kevin revving the engine. "Hold on tight!" he shouted, glancing back at the chaos. The urgency hung thick in the air, a tangible weight. Just then, out of nowhere, a crowd surged forward, grabbing at them, pulling them back. Evelyn's heart raced as she struggled against the tide. She reached for James, fear clawing at her heart as she lost sight of him. "James!" And then it happened. A piercing gasp cut through the noise. A voice she recognized, one filled with pain. Evelyn froze. It was Clara, her neighbor, a figure slipping away into the fray. "Help me!" she cried, desperate and terrified. Before Evelyn could react, Kevin revved the engine once more. But in that moment, everything stopped as Clara clutched her side, face pale, eyes wide with fear. "They know," she whispered, a revelation choking her voice. "What do you mean, Clara? What do you know?" Evelyn shouted. But it was too late. Shadows loomed closer, and the chaos fed off her growing panic. "Clara!" It was Lucy, and the desperation in her voice felt like a rope pulling at Evelyn's heart. "Mom." "We have to go!" Kevin shouted, dragging her back toward the motorcycle. But Evelyn turned, torn between the chaos and the woman she trusted. Clara's expression hardened, her eyes narrowing as she whispered, "Evelyn, the truth will shatter everything you thought." "You knew!" The statement hit like a punch. What truth? What secrets? Clara locked eyes with her, the weight of all they had shared shifting like sand. With a swift movement, Clara turned, revealing a hidden blade glinting in the flickering light. The crowd gasped, the air thickening with trepidation. "You need to understand. Harold's death wasn't an accident. It was meant to cover this up." Evelyn felt her heart stall. "What do you mean?" But just then, a noise eclipsed her thoughts. The roar of the motorcycle. "We can't wait!" Kevin shouted desperately. Yet all at once, the ground trembled again. There was a flicker of movement, and Clara lunged forward, the glimmer of the blade aimed at Evelyn. "This is what you don't understand." Time slowed, the chaos around them fading into oblivion, leaving just Clara and Evelyn, caught in a web of betrayal. The shadows shifting. "Mom, look out!" Lucy screamed, but it was too late. Evelyn's heart pounded as the world exploded with possibility. The ruptured reality shifted as Clara's blade sliced through the air. Everything spiraled into darkness. And in that moment of uncertainty, the truth danced just out of reach, teasing them with a revelation that threatened to unravel everything. What bonds would break? What truths would emerge from the ashes? As darkness took hold, the only question that remained was, would anyone make it through alive? Evelyn's heart raced as Clara lunged forward, blade glinting in the flickering light. A mixture of fear and desperation churned in her stomach. "Clara, don't!" she shouted, instinctively stepping back. But everything shattered in a heartbeat. Instead of Clara reaching for her, there was a loud crack, an explosion of sound so deafening it burned her ears. Time felt like it warped around her as darkness enveloped her, pulling her under. Suddenly, a bright light pierced the fog, almost blinding. Evelyn stood in a field surrounded by a dense mist. The trees felt far away, shadows dancing just out of reach. And the air was thick with something electric, but it was empty. Confusion flooded her, blood pounding in her ears. "Where is everyone?" she murmured, glancing around, her gaze searching for Lucy, Kevin, James, anyone. But there was silence, an eerie hush draping over everything. Then she heard the whispers, not from behind her, not from the forest. They came from deep within the mist. The voices were muffled, overlapping, as if they were echoing from a distance, but somehow unmistakably familiar. Tell her the truth, the key it holds. She deserves to know. Evelyn's heart sank. What truth? She called out into the void, desperation clawing at her. But the whispers faded, leaving only silence in their wake. Before she could process, the world twisted again. A swift rush. The mist clouded her vision before dispersing, bringing her back to the park. But this time it felt different. The scene was frozen. Everyone around her like statues, caught in a frame of horror. The smoke from the burned SUV spiraled upward, but now it wasn't chaotic. Instead, there was a sense of calm, an unsettling calm, like the aftermath of a storm. She moved further into the space around her, each step making her heart pound louder. And that's when she saw it, a small figure at the center of the chaos. James stood frozen, eyes wide, his mouth moving, but no sound came out. Evelyn rushed to him, fear clawing at her throat. "What's wrong?" He pointed, and she turned to follow his gaze. There, in the middle of them all, lay Clara. But something was off. She was still, but the blade was gone, replaced by something that sent a jolt through Evelyn's body. Amid the confusion, Clara's eyes were wide open, staring up into the sky. "Clara!" Evelyn shouted, rushing forward, only to halt as she caught a glimpse of the ground, dark red, glistening beneath the overcast light. Then it hit her. A scream tore from her lips. "No!" she gasped, feeling the world tilt as adrenaline surged through her. But that's when a figure appeared, emerging from the shadows. Not Kevin or Daniel. It was another man, dressed in black. But it wasn't just anyone. A familiar face, twisted in a cruel smirk. One she thought she buried with the past. "Surprised to see me, Evelyn?" It was Lawrence, her husband, her first love, her Highlander spirit, who had vanished without a trace years ago. His presence chilled her to the bone, every haunting memory flooding back like a storm. "What? You're supposed to be dead!" Her voice trembled, disbelief surging. "Oh, dead?" He chuckled lowly. "That was just a clever illusion. Harold got in the way, so I had to resurface. All to protect the key." "Key? What key?" she cried out, desperation pouring from her soul. Suddenly, every thread unraveled. Secrets spun faster than she could grasp. "I wanted you to find the truth. But not like this. Not yet." His eyes gleamed like shattered glass. "The truth is, you won't remember just yet." Evelyn's mind spun. Every relationship, every bond felt tainted, warped by betrayal. I don't understand." "Of course you don't," Lawrence said, stepping closer, shadows flickering across his face. "Not until it's too late." The world narrowed. It felt as if the ground shook beneath her feet again. The whispers returned, echoing louder, weeping for the truth still hidden around them. The crowd remained eerily silent, watching like ghosts of their past. In that moment, everything shifted. A world once defined by love twisted into a nightmare of shadows and echoes. The revelation slashed through her. How many secrets were buried deep, untold? What was truly at stake? And then a surge of panic pulsed through her. "What have you done?" she shouted, clenching her fists. His sinister smile widened. "Oh, Evelyn, the real question is, what will you do now? Are you ready to uncover what lies beneath?" As dread sank in, fresh horrors coiling around her, She knew one thing for sure. Everything she thought she knew was merely the surface of a much darker secret. Would she find the strength to piece together the fragments, or would it consume her whole? Evelyn's heart raced as Lawrence's words hung in the air, taunting and chilling her to the bone. What do you mean, the truth? What's really happening? But he merely smiled, a twisted gleam in his eyes. Just then, the atmosphere shifted, palpable with unease. The shadows danced around them, a veil of darkness swallowing the light. Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that the moment was slipping through her fingers. "Mom, we need to leave." Kevin's voice cut through the fog of confusion, urgency blazing in his eyes. The echoes of chaos surrounded them, but her gaze remained locked on Lawrence. "Evelyn!" Clara's voice, though faint, pierced through the noise. "The key is the only way to protect your family." Confusion morphed into horror as Evelyn finally realized Clara's words tied the loose threads together. Every secret, every lie, it all revolved around the key. "Your family is in danger, Evelyn." Lawrence stepped closer, his tone silky yet menacing. "That's why I came back, to collect what's mine." "Your what?" Evelyn's voice shook with disbelief, and pain simmered beneath her skin. "What do you want from us? You abandoned us." "I had to," he replied, the twisted reflection of his former self creeping back into view. "To protect you from all this, the darkness I fell into." Just then, panic erupted as the chaos around them flared again. Officers advanced, their eyes cold and unyielding, calculating. Daniel lunged into action, shielding Lucy, while Kevin gripped Evelyn's hand, ready to flee. "Mom, you must trust me," he urged, fear painted across his features. But before she could muster a response, Lawrence's eyes flashed, his expression morphing into something sinister. "Evelyn, you're stronger than you know. Embrace it." He pointed a finger right at her heart. And in that moment, everything froze, a heartbeat caught in limbo. Evelyn felt the pressure build, something deep inside awakening. "I will not let you take another thing from me." The words flowed from her, trembling yet resolute, and she stood her ground. Visuals blurred, flickering memories of her family, their laughter, the pain of loss, and hidden truths rushed back like an overwhelming tide, wrapping around her heart. The chaos faded, shadows dampening, as she realized the strength forged from years of suffering. "Enough!" she shouted, her voice echoing, ricocheting off the trees around them. Lawrence's smirk faltered. But before he could finish, Evelyn took a step forward, heart pounding against her chest, fueled by the love she felt for her family. "You may have caused pain, but you will not destroy us. I refuse to let the darkness take what's left of my family." With every ounce of courage, she willed the light back into the room, embracing the love that shaped her. The shadows pulled back as Lawrence's smirk faltered into disbelief. A flash of warmth surged through her, radiating outward, casting a glow over everyone around. The officers paused, glancing around, confusion blooming on their faces. The light enveloped Clara as well, illuminating the truth in her eyes. With a flick of her wrist, she revealed the hidden dagger. "It's time to end this. We stand in unity." As the glow intensified, Lawrence stepped back, eyes wide. "No!" Evelyn felt the weight of the past shatter around her, memories intertwining to form a protective barrier. Synchronized, they pressed forward together. Evelyn, Clara, Kevin, and Lucy. The bonds of love and family cemented their stand. Suddenly, it was over. The shadows dissolved. The chaos ebbed, leaving only the light, the connection they shared, triumphantly brighter than the darkness they faced. Tears streamed down Evelyn's face. Bittersweet and heavy with emotion. "We're free," she whispered, relief flooding her body. The heaviness dissipated, the burden lifted. As they turned to each other, the world settled into a moment of disbelief, a moment of hope. Kevin's hand in hers reminded her of their resilience. Lucy's smile brought warmth. Clara, the reminder of how far they had come. "Together, we are stronger," Evelyn vowed, looking at each of them. The demons were vanquished, at least for now. They walked through the remnants of the chaos, shadows banished, laughter returning to fill the once hollow spaces. In that warm embrace, they finally found solace, fragile yet fierce. They understood that the path would still bring challenges, but they would face them together as a family, unwavering. Time passed. Memories became lessons learned, and in every challenge, they forged an unbreakable bond, knowing they were never alone. Evelyn let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding, her heart full. They would rebuild, and perhaps even thrive. And now, for you, the fans who stood by this incredible journey, this is the moment to show your support. You have to subscribe right now so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this shocking ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your support makes all the difference.